What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to talk about Life is Strange 1. I want to do it a little bit differently, though. I want to talk about a remake and, would this thing work? What would it be like? And kind of go down that road. Look, it's the 10-year anniversary of Life is Strange. Big time in the fandom, I think. Incredible. Absolutely insane. Don't want to spend too much time on that reflection, though, because I actually did almost an hour-long retrospective video on my third channel, Podcast Now Back to the Past. I'll leave a link to it in the description if you guys want to check it out. I think I gave it the respect that it absolutely deserves in that video. What I want to do here, though, I want to celebrate it across all my channels, but I want to talk about a remake because, look, are we there yet? Are we at a point where it's something that gets brought up? And you have the remastered thing a few years ago that, kind of maybe throws it for a curveball there. Those are all things I wanted to kind of discuss. So, well, let's start there, right? Have we had enough time where like a remake is something that should even be brought up? I think it is. I think 10 years is not the perfect time. Okay, I prefer games maybe a little bit older than it. But look, in the past couple years, we have seen the average age of these games that get remade or remastered. We've seen them shrink. It used to be maybe 12, 13, 14 years. Then that's a really good time. Or, if you're talking about an upcoming thing, you look at maybe Mass Effect. They threw those games together years before the next Mass Effect. Their timing was a little off, but there was kind of the reason, right? Let's put all these games together. Let's kind of get you ready for what's next. So those are kind of like the main two reasonings to do it, right? It's been long enough and there's interest, right? It's a legendary title. Or it's also been that, but also, it's getting you ready for the next thing. There's a new Life is Strange game. Funny enough, they just kind of missed out on that one. So this game does have a lot of those traits, right? It's been 10 years. Now, I might make a push for this, by the way, because the more I think about it, the more I think that this probably wouldn't be that bad of an idea. You could argue kind of like the purist perspective of like, well, what could go wrong? And I get that. I'm not actually here to rain on that parade. I am generally more optimistic than most out there, but I can absolutely understand, especially with Deck 9, you look at double exposure, you can have whatever opinion you want to have, on that, and then you think, oh my God, well, even if a remake does make sense, who would do it? It might be them, and then like, are you afraid of them changing anything? Honestly, I don't really think that would happen. We've seen remakes that do change things, but they normally change things for the better. And for those afraid of like a Chloe, erasing, of her existence, you obviously cannot do that. You can't remake one, take out that character, and still have it be roughly the same. It wouldn't even be the same game, right? So that's kind of where I look at it optimistically, where I don't think that would really be a problem. If anything, it's just upping some of the other stuff that was maybe a little bit weaker. You could, again, though, talk about the remaster. Well, the remaster wasn't that long ago, but I will say remastering a game already shows willingness to kind of go back to the well. Does that make sense? So I feel like because they already remastered it, they're already looking at it as this reoccurring, and that's maybe not the best way of looking at anything, but they might be looking at it that, hey, there's always interest. There's always going to be interest in Life is Strange 1. Again, it does check that box of being that legendary game. It's sold extremely well. It's the highest selling Life is Strange game, I think, by a lot. And there's always going to be people that are really interested in it. And, at the end of the day, I personally think it's the best Life is Strange game. You could always potentially get new people when you do remaster or when you do remake. You're doing it for the audience you have, but you're also doing it for brand new people that might not have played it, 10 years ago. You could look, now again, more on the pessimistic side, and I will agree with this, actually. You look at the remaster, and there's a lot that kind of got lost because of that remaster. Now, I don't think it's as bad as other people say that it is, and that's okay. But I will say, in terms of the lighting and the textures and just, some of just really the visuals, okay? The visuals are very specific and very almost purposeful and kind of like everlasting in the original Life is Strange 1. And when you tweak it, even if you think you're doing it for the good of mankind, you might actually be going kind of backwards. I will agree that the remaster, I think, hurts in several instances, whether, again, kind of the lighting, which kind of affects like the tone and atmosphere and stuff. There was definitely moments where the remaster, tried to adjust and tried to up it. I mean, like, there are absolutely parts of the game and even characters that look far better than they ever did before. But sometimes you lose something that's so special, right? And you think about now, I am actually really impressed by what Double Exposure looks like, but there's something so special about the visuals and the look of Life is Strange 1. And a lot of people prefer to play Life is Strange 1 over the remaster, that they say that it looks better still, or at least more original in the first game. And I can respect that. So that is something that you might say, okay, well, the Chloe thing might be a reason why you might be hesitant about it. Even Square Enix, not even just talking about Deck 9, if it's true, Square Enix hates Ashley Birch and hates, Chloe Price as a character, are they willing to do it? Now, again, they just did a few years ago. So I think they can maybe have a dislike here and there and an unwillingness to include things in future games. But again, talking about like what makes the first game, you can never really lose it. And they also are, I think, aware of the repeated possibilities of money making. I don't think you ever lose that. I don't think that stops them from doing it. So look, at the end of the day, do we need a Life is Strange 1 remake? No. I don't think we do. I think specifically what I said, I think the visuals alone, or how the game handles, right? A lot of those reasons should be some of the defining things of like remaking a game in the first place, right? There's like a you think about like maybe Dead Space. There's a killer idea. It's so special. Now again, like there's something very special about the visual integrity of Dead Space 1. It worked at the time. But to do it now, you're obviously going to have to up some things, and then they chose to change it a little bit, right? Make Isaac talk. But in my opinion, there should always kind of be that balance, but that main push for why you remake, I know I gave kind of the corporate reasons of why you remake a game earlier, but why I would remake a game, I think, stems from, okay, we're going to do it because there's something timeless about this game. And again, checks that box. There's a lot of things timeless about the first Life is Strange, but there's room to improve some of the exterior stuff. And I think that's also true. That can be true about it. 10 years, another reason. It's the most popular game of that franchise. Also, may I say, in terms of the current state of Life is Strange, again, a reason why I will kind of push this, I almost feel like this is a shot in the arm that wouldn't be like pushed away. Does that mean, something that you kind of bring up to them and you say, hey, Life is Strange has kind of been struggling ever since 1. My opinion, I guess, but also kind of backed up. There's been good, there's been bad, there's been higher sales, lower sales, but nothing, and I've always said this, nothing that really competes with the first game. No game, in my opinion, has been as well-rounded in the Life is Strange community and the Life is Strange just games in general. No game to me beats the first game, but also, forget about me, I think just popular opinion, no game matches it in terms of quality. Then you talk about sales. You can talk about community, right? A lot of these games are divided, right? There's like the Deck 9 era of games, and those have their pros and cons. You have Life is Strange 2, which is a very polarizing game to a lot of people, I would say, right? Or some people absolutely love it. Some people don't like it. So no game has really captured it the way that and that's why it's so special, by the way, one of the reasons, and I think that's why Max works, and that's probably something that they saw when they did Double Exposure, all those things, right? The things that we've talked about in the past. I think that does eventually lead you back to the first game. It's been long enough. You have new engines. You have updated things. Again, like, does it make the game for the better? Maybe not. But is it something that eventually is going to be put in Square Enix's head? Hey, it's an opportunity to make some money. And from Life is Strange specifically, not to be so, aggressive. I don't really think that I am. I think I'm kind of just a realist with Life is Strange. It's not a moneymaker. It's not a massive thing. The first game was the biggest thing, and it was so different, right? Budget was so much smaller, episodic, so cheap, and yet it blew up, right? They've never gotten back to it, and you can say a lot of different things for that, but is there a place to remake the first game? I think that there is. So is it time we start talking about it? I think yes. Do we need it? No. Should we get it? Kind of 50-50. I'm kind of in the middle. If they do it, I totally get it, and I think I would cover it and kind of be around and stuff, and probably end up buying it at the end of the day. But if they don't do it, I totally respect that decision too, right? It's not a game that, again, needs a remake, but I think it's eventually, again, you look at games that are 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 years old, and then you look at games that have that kind of margin of, okay, well, if we make it for this budget and we sell it, like, how much more can we make? Think about Square Enix. Think about like their Western stuff, which they really don't have that much of anyway anymore. Think about Life is Strange and the situation that franchise is just in general with what just happened to Deck 9. is it time to almost throw that in as like a, and that's another way of doing it, by the way, or another way of thinking about it, breath of fresh air. Breath of fresh air while also kind of going back to the well, right? Where it's like, let's just take a breather. We know what happened with double exposure. People can have their opinions. Let's just kind of hit you with this refresher thing of Life is Strange. Then we'll kind of go back, right? We'll kind of circle back and we'll figure out what's next. I feel like that actually could work. Will it happen? I don't think it's the next Life is Strange thing that they do. I just want to kind of prepare myself eventually for whatever year it might be when they announce a remake. I'm going to be ready for that. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. Make sure, as always, you're subscribed to the channel, bell icon turned on, and I hope to see you all on the next one.